It's that time of year again. Everyone knows that the holidays can become overwhelming quickly, so the sooner that you get things done, the better. For both shoppers and businesses, the best time to score great deals during the holidays is Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend. And that's why you need Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Allbirds and Cowboy e-bikes to entrepreneurs who will be participating in their very first Black Friday or Cyber Monday this year. Shopify has everything you need to succeed from start to finish. First, Shopify's marketing tools help push your brand to the forefront of the chaos, no matter what platform your customers are on. Then, Shopify helps draw customers in with the ease of a convenient checkout with Shop Pay, Shopify's expedited checkout that saves customers information and reduces hassle. The best part? Shop Pay has been proven to boost conversions, meaning you see less abandoned carts and more profits. You can also stress less knowing that Shopify's award-winning customer support team is on standby 24/7 to help with any issues that arise, allowing you to get back to business as fast as possible. This Black Friday, join thousands of new entrepreneurs hearing for the first time with Shopify. Sign up for your free trial today at shopify.com/income. That's shopify.com/income. Go to shopify.com/income and make this Black Friday one to remember.
Hi everyone, I'm Deb Flashenberg. Welcome to Yoga, Birth, Babies, a podcast produced by Prenatal Yoga Center. We will be diving into everything prenatal yoga, birth, and baby related, hoping to inspire, educate, and empower you through your journey into motherhood. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Deb Flashenberg. I'm the host of Yoga Birth Babies, and today we have a really beautiful birth story. It is someone from our community, Renata Freitas, and I put the call out to a group of new parents that I was looking for some new birth stories, and Renata reached out and said, I want to share. And what's really special to me is that I love hearing from people in the community. I love connecting with people on the other side of people I watched go through their pregnancy and hear how their birth unfolded. Now, what I think is really amazing and brave of Renata is that she had a challenging birth, and there was a lot of emotions that she shared and frustrations. And I'm really appreciative that she opened up and was so honest and so vulnerable in her telling of her birth, because I feel like many times when we hear birth stories or read them in some books, it's always like magical unicorns and everything went perfectly and it was just an experience that could be written as a fairy tale. And many times that's not how it is. And I love an honest story where there's obstacles and challenges and where the person sharing the story is just really real, because I think that's incredibly relatable. So I'm really excited for you to hear Renata's story. Let me tell you a little bit about Renata. So she is 38 years old. She's originally from Brazil. She moved to the U.S. while she was getting her MBA at Wharton, where she met her husband. And she did a 200-hour yoga teacher training. As she told me that, I'm like, ooh, note to self, maybe she'll be a PYC teacher someday. And she is quite a traveler. She's been to over 60 countries and lived in many different places. And she's just a wonderful person and just a wonderful story of her birth. So I'm really excited for you to hear that. Before we get to Renata's story, I always love to give some updates of what's happening at Prenatal Yoga Center. So everything's actually easiest to find on our website. Our schedule, we have in-person, online, on-demand classes, all sorts of workshops, our teacher training, everything lives on our website. I have years and years of blogs and our podcast. So take some time, dig in, see all the goodies you can find there. I even have some free yoga videos, so enjoy those. And then, as I mentioned, our teacher training. If you are a yoga teacher and you want to learn our specific PYC methodology, take a look at our training. We do it 4 times a year. And then we also have a postnatal training in May. And 3 of the 4 are done online. So we have people from all over the world, which is really amazing. I have to say, I'm quite amazed at their commitment to handling the time difference. We've had people from Dubai and South Korea and Australia, and they're tuning in at wonky, crazy hours. And I'm just really impressed by their commitment to learning this program. So if you're interested in that, check out, again, prenatalyogacenter.com. I also wanted to thank you, the listener, for those that have left rating and reviews. It helps people find us. So if you haven't, please take a moment to do so. And also a big thank you for those that submit an application to be on the podcast. I always love having different ideas of topics and different people introduce themselves to me as potential guests. It's really fun. All right, that is enough of me. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, please enjoy my conversation with Renata.
Have you ever caught yourself asking, is that me or is that God? If so, you're not alone. I'm Rachel Grohl, host of the Hearing Jesus podcast, a daily show where we open up scripture together and learn what it really means to recognize God's voice in our lives. And I'm excited to share that my brand new book, Knowing God's Voice, debuted as the #1 new release on Amazon in Old Testament Bible study, even before launch. The book goes hand in hand with the podcast, giving you practical tools and encouragement to not just hear God, but to follow Him with confidence. So, whether you tune in each day or pick up a copy of the book, my prayer is the same, that you'll grow closer to God and know Him in a way that changes everything.
Hi, Renata. How are you?
I'm good, Deb. What about you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to connect. I love that you reached out to want to share your birth story. I'm so excited to hear that. But before we get to that, I would love for you to share just a little bit about yourself.
Yes, my name is Renata. Actually, in Portuguese, we say Renata. I'm originally from Brazil. Been in the US since 2013, came for business school, met my now husband there, lived all over the world, was a consultant before, and now I'm a mom after a long journey of trying to get pregnant.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear about your pregnancy and your journey. So let's actually start with pregnancy. Share, if you don't mind, a little bit about your pregnancy and also how you prepared for your birth.
My pregnancy was quite easy, I want to say. The beginning was a little bit scary just because I had a lot of pain and I thought it was something completely different. I went to the gastroenterologist and he said, I think this is your ovary. So there was a little bit of a scare. They thought it was ectopic. Then the baby's heart rate was bumpy in the beginning. I had miscarriages before, so we were low hope, but out of the sudden, she was good again and healthy, and the rest of it was good. Just that I gained a lot of weight and couldn't stop eating ice cream, but beyond that, it was fine.
I kind of share your love for ice cream. So one thing I know that you shared in your intake is that you really put a lot of effort in preparing for your birth. I think you did a hypnobirth class and you moved and exercised and you found a doula, all things that I am totally thumbs up with. So with all that work and preparation, what were some of your hopes and expectations for your birth since you definitely researched what you wanted?
I think, and maybe that was my mistake. My boss says that you cannot learn how to run a marathon by reading books. But I nerded out a lot on that. So I went to a lot of your classes, a lot of the Saturday classes. I did, as you mentioned, the hypnobirth course, read the book, watch even those documentaries like orgasmic birth and everything. So I think I had the dream of nature knows how it's going to be, and if you breathe it out and it's gonna happen. It's of course gonna be painful, but it's gonna be okay. So as you said, I got a doula. Actually, she was not even a doula anymore. She teaches other doulas. Was not picking up births anymore. I literally begged her, like, I really wanted her specifically to come. So she came with one of her apprentices, even because she
Who did
said,
you
"Oh, if
have?
something comes up." Yeah, I had double doulas.
Did you
It's
have Deborah? Who was your main doula?
Do you know her, Deborah from the Womb Spa in New Jersey?
Oh no. Okay. I know a different one. I thought maybe you were thinking Deborah Pascali-Bonero. She directed, and she was the director of the documentary Orgasmic Birth. And I don't know if she takes births, but she teaches other doulas. So I didn't know if that's who you got.
Yes. I
Okay.
think now that I think about it, you have to be called Deborah to know a lot about birth, right? Like it's a
Yeah, it's a prerequisite.
common denominator there. I haven't thought about that before. But yes, no, she is Brazilian woman, works in Montclair. She has her own kind of like womb spa, it's called.
Oh yeah. I think I know her.
And does a lot of work on throughout like not only pregnancy but the women's journeys. Her mom was a midwife in Brazil. Like she comes from a long family history. So I was obsessed with her, poor woman. So yes, got the full team lined up, and thought it was gonna happen at some point, but it was different than I imagined, mainly when we twisted to having a C-section instead of vaginal as I originally desired, I want to say, envisioned, wrote in my birth plan.
Yeah. So let's jump into it. I'm going to give the floor is yours. I'd love to hear your story.
So I had this thing that I really thought that the baby was going to be late, because I was late myself, because my grandparents come from a farm. So they were like, oh, when the moon changes. And I was 100% sure that she was going to come in like 41 weeks. But no, she was early actually. So we spent like Memorial Day weekend putting together the nursery. I think my husband said, oh, we can send like family pictures at like 8 p.m., like after the animals and everything were already up in the wall. And at 10 p.m., I had like the bloody show. So with a lot of blood, the tampon coming out, and started having contractions. I remember asking my husband, like, oh, can you start counting? And he's like, which app? I'm like, any app. And he saying, oh, this is interesting. And I'm like, yes, in the beginning it's fine. They're going to be like more sparsed out, but just let me know how they are like whenever they are like 5 minutes apart. He's like, no, they're exactly 5 minutes apart, exactly during 1 minute. I'm like, okay, then this is going to be more fun than expected. I remember texting the doula. This was like whatever, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And I was laying in bed. I remember him like drifting to sleep, and my head saying, no, this is going to be long. I need to try to calm myself down and at least be quiet and rest for a bit. Then I was able to sleep for a little while, woke up quite early, still with contractions, but they were now more like spaced out. Called the doctor, and I had an appointment the following day in the afternoon, and he said, oh, either you come for the appointment, or if your pain is like out of the charts, you can go straight for triage. I was going to the Presbyterian in the east side, and I live in the west side. So there was always like this fear that the baby could be born on the way. Then 3 p.m. I had the doctor's appointment. My doctor, which I love for a lot of reasons, came in. He was like super excited, said, yo, yes, you are in labor, but you're still only 2 centimeters dilated. So I believe that best case scenario, your baby is only going to be born the following morning at 7 a.m. So that would be already like,
that's so funny.
That was like 3 p.m. It's like, it's not going to get out of you before next morning. So either if you are in like terrible pain, we'll send you to triage. I had already thrown up in his room by that point. And then you can have an epidural and rest there. Or what I would actually recommend is that you go home and you try to stay for as long as you feel comfortable. So by then we called the doulas, had everyone come, and then the party started in a way that I thought it was super nice. So my husband is Indian. So my house was like full of mantras in the background. The doula with like the rebozo and I don't know, lavender everywhere, like low lights, candles, like all the things that I kind of envisioned. But the problem was that I was not evolving as fast and the pain was getting worse and worse. So I remember at one point, the doula told me like to lay down on the bed. I turned to one side and literally threw up again. And throwing up is something that like startles me a lot. I remember when I did like my yoga teacher training, you had to like drink salty water to throw up and I started crying. So there's probably some trauma that I need to heal there, but it would be like painful. Then we were back at the bathtub and I remember looking at the doulas and saying, okay, I give up. Let's just go to the hospital. One of them looked at me and said, but what do we have there that we don't have here? And I said, yes, anesthesia. I need anesthesia. Like this is, I cannot endure anymore. Like the heat pad and the bathtub and everything that we tried is just not enough. So that was about like 1 a.m. I went there, remember like whining that it was like 10 minutes for them to do my check-in. And just asking, please, epidural. And they're like, no, you have to go to triage first. I was like, no, Dr. Sylvester already did the triage. It's already in your system that I've been in labor for literally now more than 24 hours. So please just take me to whatever room. So that took a while. My husband was just outside and he still talks about like me crying very loudly, like literally yelling. But then the epidural came and it was kind of like I was high for a second. Like everything was
did
quiet.
you skip triage? Did they actually let you skip triage and take your... No, you still had to go through triage. Okay.
Not. Yes. All the things that I wrote in my birth plan of like, oh, I don't need the monitor in my belly. And like, it comes on like the my chart from the hospital. So it's not like a piece of paper that I took to them. It's literally like checking the boxes inside. Like they did nothing. They did exactly what we say that is like the most traditional way, which is IV, all the touches and all the preps for a birth in a hospital setting. So then I had the epidural and it was magical. I remember the doulas like setting themselves to sleep and me just looking at my husband and saying, oh, I can eat now. Like I'm so hungry.
Were you a little surprised when they're like, actually, no, you have an epidural, you are not eating?
Actually not, because I haven't eaten in like a long time because of the throwing up thing. So I sneaked my husband out. He came all the way home. He grabbed like popcorn, tangerines, and a lot of things.
I'm so surprised. A lot of times once you have an epidural, they do not want you eating.
You're not supposed to. Yeah, it's just clear. No, my husband, he did. I think it's the Brazilian way. I was not that scared. And then they saw that I was so hungry and so happy that they didn't mind.
That's great.
So everyone slept and I was just happy, like texting my mom, texting everyone and saying, oh my God, I'm in labor. Like now I don't have pain and I'm not dying anymore. This is going to be perfect. Then in the morning, they checked me. I think I was like only 6 centimeters. They had popped my water at some point. I remember not even feeling water on me, which was like, I thought this was going to be at least a little bit wet and I didn't feel anything. Then they were like, okay, we can start like moving you around like a pancake to try to help movement and things like that to make sure that you have a little bit more opening. So literally I got it's like the squat bar and they were all impressed that I was able to like literally be squatting even though I had an epidural. We're still playing mantras, music, joking, like quite happy at that point. And then when we got to like midday, On the following day, I was at 10 centimeters. So it took a long, long time. By then, I was already with Pitocin and stuff, but I wasn't feeling much, if anything. Then the doctor said, the main doctor, you should start pushing. And in my, I don't know, innocence or silliness, I don't know, I was like, no, I'm not going to start pushing until I feel the urge to push. I'm just going to hang in here. It's 10 centimeters, but she's still not in like the right station. I'm not going to push. And
how did he react to that?
It was in the beginning, they were like, why? And I'm like, because I don't have the urge to push. And then it was like one nurse telling the other nurse, and then the doctor coming back and say, oh, you should push, you're already 10 centimeters. I'm like, no, thank you. But they were quite irritated, to say the minimum, I guess. And like, they would keep pushing and say, no, you should start because of this, because of that. I'm like, I'm just going to get tired. And I don't think it's the best approach because, I don't know, I read somewhere. And I think I was able to confuse them or like distract them for at least like 45 minutes in this back and forth. Then at some point, still without the urge to push, they convinced me that I should. And they have a rule. I don't know if that's because I was in the high risk profile because I'm 38, or if it's just like anyone in the Presbyterian. They basically said you can only push for 3 hours. If
that's kind of a standard. That's kind of a standard rule that a lot of hospitals have. Yeah. So I want you to know it's not anything about you or your age. It's just kind of a standard hospital rule.
So
even though
like in 3 hours,
it goes against. Yeah, I was gonna say, even though it goes against what like ACOG says, it's a hospital rule. So just unfortunate.
What is ACOG? Sorry.
Oh, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology. They actually, I don't remember the exact amount, but a first-time parent with an epidural, I believe it is more than 3 hours that they do advise, because first-time parent and epidural can slow things down. But as a doula, I had worked with people there and in many hospitals where they do have that kind of 3 hour rule. And then to get past, you're going to have to finagle and be like, oh, if mom's okay and baby's okay, can we have more time? But it's tempting to hear that. You're like, oh, and now I'm on a timer.
Yes, and it's quite stressful. And I remember distinctly that I was in a class with you, actually, and you mentioned that yours was super long. And there was another woman, I forget her name, and she said that she's a yoga teacher and that her first one was very, very long. I remember being like 50 hours or something insane like that. So in my head, it was like, yes, it may take a long time. We are New Yorkers that have like very tight pelvic floors. So this is going to take a while. It's okay. It's going to take a while, but it's going to happen. So yes, the 3 hours hit. They were like, oh, we need to test if you're actually pushing correctly. And they wanted me to pushing like the very obstetrician position. I wanted to be more in a squat position. So there was some like discussions there. But they were like, no, you're pushing okay, but she's for some reason not coming out. Their suspicion was that like either like one of her shoulders was getting stuck somehow. So at the 3 hour mark, they brought another doctor to have like a second opinion. And he said, yeah, there's nothing that we can pinpoint as the issue. The baby indeed is doing fine. Like her heart rate is okay. Let's try and do a quick ultrasound to see if like her positions changed or like something different, just for us to be sure. They did that. Also didn't find any problems and said, okay, we could either try a vacuum or take you to a C-section. And by that point, I was like very, very stressed out. And I started literally being like, I think assertive is the polite version of my mood at that point. Trying to mention to them that like, no, I think that the reason why she's not coming out is because this is not in oxytocin prone environment. Literally, like, all you're bringing to me is cortisol, and there's no way this baby is going to come out. She's fine. She's healthy. Just give me time. I was crying a lot at that point, and the poor doula's like doing massages in all places that you can imagine and giving me all the phytotherapics and whatever that they had in their magic purses. And I think I was able to convince them for like, I don't know, try for another hour. Then the main doctor came back again, and I just lost it, like literally lost it. Told her once again that it was like her fault, and told her, you better go and take a walk in the park and never ever come back in this room once again. I want you to just call my doctor. I knew that he was gonna start his shift at like 5 p.m. I was like, just call Dr. Sylvester, tell him to come earlier, but I'm not having an epidural having a C-section until I hear his opinion. Yeah, it was very dramatic. I think my husband at that point was like very worried also. And then everyone left. I was basically just with like the main nurse that was with the monitor and me and the doulas, and we tried a little bit more. And then my husband gave me kind of like a ultimatum saying, okay, we're going to be here for like 15 more minutes. And then after that, we, as in me, you, the doulas, and the nurse that you like, that it's you stayed and said that is in your side, gonna assess what is our opinion. And then we got to that point. The nurse said, I'm in your team. I've been here forever. We know what is happening. We haven't seen the baby's head in a long time. Like, she pulled back in like for a long time already. So therefore, I think at this point, if it was my baby, I would go for a C-section. Then my doulas kind of agreed and said the same. And I kicked everyone out and said, okay, I'm going to talk to my husband. And my husband said, I'm worried about you. I think that like the C-section is going to be much easier and blah, blah, blah. And I was crying a lot. And then basically, like, do you know when you're watching a cartoon and then like a light comes from the sky? The door opens and it was my doctor at like 3:47 p.m. saying, hi, Renata, how are you doing? I'm like, thank God, Dr. Sylvester, now that you're here. Sorry. Now that you're here, I wanted to hear your opinion because I think I've been pushed to do a C-section and I don't need it. And then he did the test, said, okay, let me like do a touch with you, see how you are. You're going to push a couple times. We're going to look at your curves. We're going to be together for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to give you my opinion. Then his point was, there is some reason why she's not coming. I can try to vacuum, but there is a possibility that she may come with like a dislocated shoulder, which is going to make this quite complicated. So I'd rather do that already in the operating room, because in that case, if we have to do an emergency C-section, we're already there. But my recommendation is that you should just have a healthy baby. And the earlier we go to the C-section, the calmer the C-section is. So I finally, after a lot of crying and a lot of drama, agreed to that. I remember the doulas came back in the room, and my point was like, oh, I think I don't need you anymore. And her answer was like, no, your birth is still going to be important and magical. Just don't give up and let it be. Like, it's still your birth. Then we went to the prep room, whatever. Like, I just remember the lights being terrible. So I had like a sleep mask. And me complaining that it was so cold, so cold, so cold. And I started shivering like a lot. Then after what felt like an eternity, my husband came in like all dressed up. And I was still shivering and asking for like, I don't know, something warm, something to warm me up. And someone, I think the nurse, like a woman's voice, literally said, "You're going to feel a lot of pressure now." I just heard the baby crying and I couldn't stop crying myself. Not because I was happy that the baby cried, but because I thought I was dying. And I was still like shaking so much. And like my fear was I cannot have my golden hour or anything because I'm shaking so much. I'm afraid I will drop the baby or something. So I would cry. And then my husband came like super excited saying, "Oh, the baby looks exactly like your dad." And me like sobbing for, I don't know, like 5 or 10 minutes. Then at some point I calmed myself down, stopped shivering and like shaking so much. He put my baby on me, and in like 30 seconds, Mila was already latching and nursing. And then at that point, I finally like calmed down a little bit. But yeah, that was it. And then she was born at 5:45 on the second day. So I was basically in labor for 40 hours, out of which 4 of pushing.
I want to take a quick break. When we come back, let's unpack that big time, the after, but some of those decisions, because I know they weighed on your mind a bit. So we're going to take a super quick break and we'll be right back.
Ever wonder whether Stoicism is actually as terrible as all those red-pilled bros on TikTok make it seem? I'm Tanner Campbell, American philosopher of Stoicism and host of the Practical Stoicism podcast, and I'm here to tell you that, thankfully, those bros couldn't tell the difference between their you-know-whats and a hole in the ground, let alone teach anyone anything about any proper philosophy. Stoicism is an ancient Greek virtue ethics philosophy all about developing a morally just character, and you can learn more about it by listening to my podcast, Practical Stoicism. Search for it today in your podcast player of choice and give it a go. I'm certain you'll find it, at the very least, informative.
So we're back. And one thing that you'd mentioned in your intake form was you felt like there wasn't a clear reason for the C-section. How have you processed that? How do you feel about that now?
I feel that I gave up and I should have fought better. Sometimes I feel that I shouldn't have gone to the hospital. I should just have held at home. Sometimes I feel that I went to a hospital with the wrong expectations. That like with all that I've dreamed, I should be better off in like a birthing center with a midwife and that type of thing. But I feel that I was like sold in both sides, right? Like that I wanted to have a doula and everything, but at the same time, I wanted to be at the hospital that if something happened and we need to have the baby in the NICU, we were in the best NICU. Right. So it's kind of like I was playing both games at the same time and didn't like force my opinion enough. But at the same time, I feel like that my rational mind took over, and I don't know, maybe I read too much of this hypnobirthing that like I couldn't calm down. And like there was no way that the baby would come out if I was in the middle of like arguments with doctors and like procedure discussions, you know? Like I was not in the Zen mood that I was at home. Of like, let's make the oxytocin come, let my husband help me and hug me, let me feel right in this moment. So I think I was expecting that like that magic would continue to flow, and I was frustrated that it didn't. And then I just let the frustration turn into an argument, and that made it worse. And it was kind of like a spiral, you know?
Right.
So I blame myself a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know if this makes you feel any better. I hope you don't carry the blame for, I understand you're processing it. You did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. You advocated, you studied, sometimes we have no idea. I mean, as one mama who had a long birth to another mama who had a long birth, I'll be honest, I blame myself for a lot of my first birth and how hard it was. And I get that. I totally hear that. And my son's 14. I still blame myself at times. But you did nothing wrong. You had instincts. You trusted your instincts. You did nothing wrong. How are you helping yourself heal on the other side, not just physically, but emotionally?
I think doing quite some therapy, both with like um the therapist that was actually the one giving the hypnobirth course, with my own therapist, and I sometimes do what is called somatic experience. I don't know if you heard about those, but it's like those sessions where you actually don't talk much. You basically go very slowly and start to feel in your body where those emotions come and how do you feel about them, and like process things quite slowly, which I think is super helpful. I think retelling the story helps a lot. Like in the beginning, I would feel like literally that I was in front of the doctor and yelling at her, and so many of the same emotions would come out whenever I talked about it. I think now it's a little bit more manageable to like revisit and thinking about it. So I think just giving myself time and trying to not let the frustration be, I don't know, the main topic. I think that the main topic is that I have a healthy baby, and um, that's all that matters.
I am gonna, if you don't mind, argue with you that you matter just as much. Like the baby, of course, matters and healthy, but you matter. You really matter. And your feelings and your experience really matter. And I hear you're frustrated and probably angry and maybe confused, but you matter. I don't know if that makes any difference, but your
Of
mental and
course it does.
physical
Thank
health
you.
matter. For someone that might be preparing for birth now, what do you wish you had known or understand ahead of time that you could share with that person that might be on the other side, on that pregnancy side?
I don't know if it's like just go with the flow and don't prep as much.
Do you feel like the
um,
prep was detrimental?
I think so, because then
Yeah.
you have very strong opinions about something that is not real. Like I don't know, like the doctors have, I don't know, see 5 or 6 births every day, and I want to argue with someone that actually went to college about it, because I read the opinion of like 2 or 3 doctors that could also be biased in their own way. You know what I mean? It's very hard. It's not a science, I think. And I think in my mind, like being consulting is like you study and then you know, and you like check that box and you feel that you are an expert. But yeah, don't prep enough. Don't prep a lot, or just your story is going to be your story, and you're not going to be able to shape it in the way that you want, is what happens. I don't know.
Is there anything you'd like to share about what's helped you heal?
I think writing also helps a lot. It's like writing what I wish the story had been, or retelling myself and like trying to go into all the rabbit holes of like different scenarios. Because then you
When you're
can,
writing, yeah,
mm,
I keep going. When
like
you're writing out
just,
your story, I'm sorry, I'm going to, sorry, let me try that again. When you're writing out your story, and this is just an idea that maybe can help you feel or find some grounded moments in your experience. When you're writing out your story, maybe if you write it again, can you look for times that maybe it was your doulas or your partner, or maybe it was even something you found in yourself that helped you feel grounded or cared for? Do you think that might help you see things? I'm not trying to paint a sunny picture, but see some of the positive sides?
Definitely. Like even like looking at pictures and stuff from like the entire journey, right? Like we were talking specifically about like the not eating thing in the hospital, and I sent someone just a picture of me so happy eating popcorn that um I cannot close that story on the, I don't know, last say 6 hours of the day. I should think about the entire journey, right? It's a 40-hour journey where, a lot of it I was just me and my husband, or me and my husband and the doulas in my house, and it was very special. Um, I think, yeah, just valuing every part of the journey with the same weight should be the goal.
Do you see the advocacy that you were trying to ask them, I'm okay, baby's okay? Like, do you see that as a positive?
I don't think so, because
No.
I think what they were trying to convey was that there was a reason why she was not coming down. I don't know if you watched the bit, but there is a scene
I'm
that
obsessed with them. Yeah.
it was right after, I don't know, it was like a month in when I watched that, and like the baby actually gets stuck and like they're trying to do
They had the
and
shoulder
I kept looking
dystocia,
at my
yeah.
husband, said exactly the shoulder drama, and I was like, oh, maybe if that was an issue, I should be better off with a C-section. So just thinking about my not knowing what was wrong doesn't mean that there was not like that the chance was not minimal, like I think I felt that I was being tricked to said, oh, everything's okay, you cannot find, like, you did an ultrasound, you did this, you did that, the heart rate is fine, but we don't know what the reason. I think in my head the only reason was like I have too much cortisol, there's no oxytocin in my body, and that's why it's taking long. But it could be a mechanical thing, like I'm a tiny person. That yes, I even went to like the chiropractor before. I think you recommended one on 57th Street. I did this, and that, like thinking about the poses in like the different stations and things like that. But mechanically, it could potentially be small, or the baby could be big, or this, or I don't know, the shoulder could be stuck. And the fact that I didn't know what was wrong doesn't mean that she was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or that she would be okay if we kept pushing.
How are you feeling now?
Lighter. I was anxious about it to the point that like literally like thinking in the morning like what I'm gonna say, and kind of feeling a lot of emotions about it, but it was not as bad as I thought it would be. Then I didn't cry as much as I thought I would.
Well, as I said before we started recording, crying is always welcome and never judged or shamed. In fact, I think it's great to just be there with your emotions and see what comes up.
Yes.
We're going to take one more break. When we come back, what is one final tip or piece of advice that you want to share with new and expectant parents? It can be anything that you have learned along the way. We'll be right back.
We all love a legendary comeback, and Degree Original Cool Rush is back and better than ever. Cool Rush isn't just a scent, it's a movement, a fan favorite that delivers bold, fresh vibes and all-day sweat protection. Whether you have a man that spends hours in the gym, heads into the office early, or is just trying to stay fresh on a long day, Cool Rush has their back. Head to your local Walmart or Target and grab Degree Cool Rush, the fan favorite scent from the world's #1 antiperspirant brand.
We're back. So, is there anything that kind of popped into your mind? One final tip or piece of advice you'd like to share with new and expectant parents?
Be selfish. I think as moms, it's very easy for us to put the baby first in every single thing, right? Like I have mommy's wrist right now and like pains, like a lot of pain to like even lift the baby, but you want to hold the baby up. But like take the time to take care of yourself first. The dad, the mom, whatever, the night nurse, someone is going to figure it out, or the baby's going to be okay. It doesn't need to be all you.
That is a great piece of advice. Renata, I want to thank you so much for being open and willing and vulnerable and in sharing your story.
Thank you for listening and also sharing with more people.
This has been an episode of Yoga, Birth, Babies, produced by Prenatal Yoga Center. You can catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. I'm Deb Flashenberg. Thanks for listening.